Lost Legends.
I really like this game. This is an old game. And it doesn't have miniatures. It's more or less like kind of like a deck building game with a little bit of D&D or something to it. And it's been around for a while. I've watched some videos online. Normally I don't do this, but I think that this game just needs a better step-by-step setup and playthrough, because nobody really has it. So I'm going to do a video. I know this is an older game. I actually just got it. My sister-in-law gave it to me. And I really like the game. I'm really glad she gave it to me. So if she's watching it there, thank you. Basically down to it, it's very simple. It's a 3 to 5 player game. Once you know how to play it, takes only about 70 minutes or so to play. And realistically, for about 4 players, that's maybe about right. 5 players might drag on a little longer than that. It's very, very simple to follow. So, you have a player mat, and you have 1, 2, 3 sessions. 2 phases. You've got equipping, and then you've got attacking. Now, if anybody out there has played Tiny Epic Quests, you probably would already know kind of how to play this, because it's very similar to that as far as for the design of your character and how they're set up. You have experience, you have health, you have mana. That's it. Simple. As you go up experience, you have the options of either occasionally, with these little markers down here, you have the options of gaining a couple gold, going up in mana, or going up in health. And when I mean going up, not just gaining an extra health, you have, just like in Tiny Epic Quests, you have a max health, and that's what this little token's for, and you have a max mana, and that's what that little token's for. Now this is a fighter, so you know he doesn't have any mana, he has lots of health. You know, if you have someone like this Sorcerer over here, she's got lots of mana, she has very little health, she's only got like 3 health, and that's it. As you move up in experience, you gain the ability to increase your health, increase your mana, or get gold if you want to get better items. Right? As you go up and you get to like level 16, 20, 24, 28, or 30, you get additional victory points. You know, and victory points, obviously, that's what's going to win you the game. When it comes to those victory points, they call them legend markers. And you also have gold that you start with. So this character starts with 7 gold. 5, 6, 7. Each character on their mat shows how much gold they start with. You have your first phase, and your first phase is equipping. Out of these cards, you have cards for 3 players, 4 players, and 5 players. We're going to play, or simulate play, of 4 players. So therefore, any of the cards in here that have a number 5 on them, like this, right here, right, they have to be removed from the deck. So there we have now just the remaining cards for 4 players. Now this works out to exactly 6 cards per player. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if I was to count the rest of these out, there'd be 6 cards for each player that you deal out. Now when you deal out these cards, you have cards in here that give you armor, weapons, trinkets, and abilities. And if it's weapons, you have magic weapons like wands, you've got swords, and you've got melee attacking weapons like axes and whatnot, and you also have things for long range like bows or throwing daggers and things like that. Now, obviously, depending on the character you choose, some are going to be more proficient with particular items than others. Obviously, if you're going to be the warrior, like this guy, he is more proficient to be using melee attack. He already starts out with a trained melee attack and defense icon. So this means that he actually has bonuses to these items. Now, what happens when you're doing the equipment phase? For each of the 3 rounds, you're going to have 6 cards dealt out, and you're going to start picking out your armor and your weapons and your abilities and whatnot. Now, there's a few different things that happen here. It's very simple. In the corner, you have what it costs for gold. Underneath it is a proficiency. If you have a skill that matches what's underneath the gold, where it says -1, in this particular case for this light armor here, it says -1 if you have a shield. Now if you look at this character here, he has a shield. So therefore, if I wanted this armor, instead of it costing me only 2 gold, it would cost me actually -1 from that. It would only cost me 1 gold. But I noticed something else is very cool in this bundle, and I may want to make sure that I hold on to it, because this is going to be important for doing damage. I can get a nice axe, and this is again -1, right? If I have a sword, which I do have the sword proficiency or skill, so therefore I'm going to buy this item. Now that item fits into this slot. You can see this little notch out. They have these little swirly things here to explain where certain things go, right? Your armor, looks like this, so it has that attachment and it goes there. And you can have up to 3 items off of each one of these offshoots from your character, right? But they have to be different. They can't be the same item, right? You can't have 2 axes. You can't have an axe and a sword, but you can have an axe, you can have a bow, and you can have wand, as long as they're different. Same thing with your equipment. You can have, you can't have 2 helmets. In all reality, you can't wear 2 helmets anyway, right? So why would you have 2 helmets? Makes sense, right? So you can't have 2 pieces of armor that are the same. You can have armor, a helmet, and say a shield, and that's fine. But you can have only up to 3. And then when it comes to trinkets, same kind of deal. You just can't have 2 of the exact same thing. You can't have 2 trinkets that do the exact same thing, right? So for instance, the polymorph. This is a very cool item. This one allows you to discard current monster that you're about to fight if you're going to fight something that's going to kill you, right? And you can discard it and draw 3 monsters from the reserve deck, which we'll talk about after, and then choose one and discard the rest. So maybe you can fight something you can kill without dying. That's a very cool trinket, but you can't have 2 of those. It's against the rules. It has to be separate or different items. So when you pick something like this, after you're done, you take the remaining 5 cards you have and you pass it on to the next character to your left. And they would then pass theirs over to the next character to their left. And so forth and so on around the table until everybody's gotten the deck from the previous character. And then you look at them again. And you pick something out. Now this one here would have cost me 1 coin. So let's just say 5, 6, 7. We'll get rid of that coin there. Now I'm down to 6 coin. Now what else is cool? So let's just pick this out really quick and see. Because this would normally go to this character now. And we're going to just grab the other 6 for the other characters, and we're going to go through it really quick and pick out a bunch of stuff. There's no sense in us sitting here going through every single thing. we've got all 4 of our characters set up. They all have everything that they've wanted to purchase. They've used up most of their gold in some cases, gotten gold back for stuff that they've used to add to their skill lists. Like this person has a trinket, this person has an additional magic wand so she can do additional damage with her wand, right? This person over here has an additional sword added to their proficiency list, their skills. So that way, if this person's doing a melee attack, they can do again an additional damage for every one of these swords they have under their skill list. There's also some cool things like this guy, the fighter, he also got iron rations. Iron rations allow you to add an additional health to your maximum health just for having this card. It also has the ability that you can tap it, use it to gain a health. So you're just going to eat some food and regenerate a little bit if you're in the, after a battle. So everybody's got everything all set up. Everything is ready to go now for the actual battle phase. I'm going to move this guy out of the way a little bit here, and we're going to zoom out a little bit so we can see the entire playing area, and we're going to show how it's set up for the battle phase. When it comes to doing battle, notice I've got 2 decks of monsters. This is the reserve deck, this is the deck we're actually fighting. The deck we're fighting works out to be 3 monsters per player. That's 12 cards. If it would have been 5, right, there would have been 15 cards. The reserve deck is put here and is still left on the side because it can still be used for things just like that polymorph card I was talking about earlier. You discard your current monster and draw 3 monsters from the reserve deck, choose one and discard the rest. That's the reserve deck. So if this person draws, say, like a dragon, then it's gonna kill her because she only has 2 health or 3 health. Well then maybe she's gonna use this trinket, get rid of that dragon, pick 3 others, and then hopefully she's got something that she can kill before having damage done to herself. Okay, so now we're ready to do battle. So we've got our cards set aside for the dungeon, I guess, that we're going through, or whatever this part of this is. And we have our reserve deck here. Now, the first thing that happens is we have one monster that gets pulled up. And then, say the rogue here is going to be the first player. We would then have a card come up to the rogue. Now that card automatically has a charge to it, so it would be doing 1 damage to my rogue. However, I have a helmet here, right, that reduces 1 chaotic damage, so I will use my helmet immediately to protect myself against that. It could have killed me, but I protected myself against chaotic damage. And then my helmet will still protect me against 1 bow attack, and the skeleton warrior is a long range attack of 2, so it would only do 1 damage to me. So you know what? We're going to stick with this monster and we're going to attack it. When it comes to throwing knives I guess have a magical property to them. So my first attack technically does a magical damage to it. And the second attack, my second attack with throwing knives, because it's a skill of long range, would do 1 damage as well. Now it says here that it would half long distance damage. That's only 1 damage, so it's still going to just do 1. The other one's magical, so therefore it's 2. So that does 2 damage right off the bat. Now I'm not going to be able to kill it because it has 3 health. I don't have anything else that's going to give me the ability to do 1 more damage. So therefore this monster is going to just take 2 damage. And now it gets to attack me. Now it's already charged and I defended against the charge with my helmet. It does 2 long-range attacks. One in which my helmet still just naturally reduces 1 long-range attack for its natural ability to defend. So I shot with an arrow right at my head and it just ricocheted off my helmet. Yes. Unfortunately, the second arrow still hits me. I still again have nothing else here that can protect me against that, so no matter what, I still at least take 1 damage, but on the next round I can throw some knives at it, kill it, because it only has 1 more, and then at least I get some experience points, I get to share some gold, which I'll talk about shortly, and I'll be able to get my first trophy for the road. Now, on to the warrior. So, he's done his battle, we're on to this guy, right? He has to pick up a monster to put in front of himself. Now he has the choice. Does he take this one or this one? Well, they're both the same, right? They're both dragons, or dragon class. There's one thing. This one has a multiplier, if we take a close look here. Times 2 damage by long range. Now he's a fighter, could do long range, but he's not trained in it. I would only be able to do maybe 4 damage to it, and it needs 5 to kill it. Now the difference though is that the other one that's face up in the pile here, you notice its multiplier is times 2 melee weapons. So that leads us to another rule in the game. If I want to fight this monster instead of this one, I can take this one and pass it to the person to my left. It goes counterclockwise as far as until somebody that doesn't already have a monster. So he already has a monster he's fighting, so then it would go to the next person. Sorry, to the right, counterclockwise. So that means the sorcerer over there is going to fight that dragon. I'm going to fight this one. Now, being that it's twice the damage for a melee weapon, the axe can do 1 damage plus 1 damage if you have a skill of the sword. Which I do have the skill of the sword right there for the melee attack. So that means normally that this would do 2 damage. But with the multiplier on the dragon, it's actually going to do 4 damage. So I only need 1 more. And it's right here. The arcane energy. Just tapping this scroll will give me the ability to fire off 1 magic damage. That gives me 5 total. I needed 5 to kill it. I successfully do that before it has a chance to even attack me. Now, 3 things. This gets 2 experience, 4 gold, and when I flip it over, it becomes a trophy for the dragons. So I flip that over, that becomes my trophy. I get 2 experience, I need 1 more and I can go up in my health or get some gold or maybe even get some mana. There's 4 gold. Now the gold system in this game is a little bit different. It doesn't get distributed where I get all the gold. I would get the first gold. The next guy would get the next gold. The guy before me would get the next gold after that, so that's 3. And the 4th one comes back to me again. There would have been, say, 5 gold, then there'd be the next one go to the left again. Okay? It always gets shared between you and the person to your right and the person to your left. If you have a 4th player or a 5th player, they get nothing until somebody close to them on their left or right, defeats a monster or themselves defeats a monster, right, then they would. So it's kind of a different system. It's a little interesting, makes it a little more original, not like other games. So we got some gold, we got some experience. Now we've got to settle for the trophy. So the one last thing is when it comes to these tokens. Now this is an additional victory point or legend point as long as I can hold on to this. The singles are special. There's 4 of them, 1 for each different kind. And of course with the 4 different kinds that you have, right there, okay, you've got humanoid, skeleton, dragon, and animal. With the singles, the only way you can keep them, or the only way they'll do anything for you, is if you manage to hold on to them throughout the entire round. So the fighter here has 1 right now, gotten a legend point, gotten that trophy. However, the sorcerer over here has another dragon. If the sorcerer kills this dragon successfully, then the sorcerer would then steal this token, still get another legend point themselves as well, and now they would have it. And the only way the fighter would get it back is if he kills another dragon during this round. If somebody else kills a dragon, then they would steal it from the sorcerer. So in the end, whoever still has it at the final battle at the end then gets additional victory point or legend point for having that item. And that goes for the other 3 as well. That's kind of interesting, but when it comes to the other 6 that you see over here, you've got these 4, and these 2 are different. These 4 is if you kill, say, 2 skeletons, or 2 animals, or 2 dragons, or 2 humanoids. Whoever kills whatever first gets the one on top, and the one on top is worth more. This one's worth 6. These 2 are worth 8. This one's worth 8 because it's the dragons are a little tougher. These guys are worth 6. The next person doesn't steal this from me like the other ones. They actually would then get the next one down on the pile. So instead of 6, they only get 4. The next person that achieves killing 2 of them would only get 3, and then the next person again after that would only get 2. This pays to kill stuff faster than anybody else. That's really what it boils down to. And you get those additional victory points. And of course the other place you get your victory points or legend points is just by going up levels. So there's how we get all our victory points. Back to the battles. So now he is complete. He's gone up, didn't take any damage, got his victory points, killed his monster, got his trophies, good to go, moving on to the next guy. So over here we have another fighter. Now, 2 cards have to be drawn because we don't have one up face up, and we have to have one in front of the character. Okay, so the one that came up is a humanoid, an Orcish Brute. The Orcish Brute's still pretty tough. They have 5 hit points, and they do 2 damage. Doing magical damage to it would actually do double damage. This is another fighter. This fighter doesn't have magical damage. It'd be cool if it could pass it to this guy because this guy does. There's no way that we're going to be able to kill this guy, and he's going to do 2 damage to me. On the other hand, this guy only takes 3 to kill. Now can I kill this guy? Now this guy does 2 damage as well, but does damage with bow. This guy does damage with sword. My armor protects me from swords, so that's something to think about. I'm probably better to fight the Orcish Brute, even though he's got more life, he's going to be tougher to kill. This guy's going to do 1 more extra damage on me right away, because I don't have a defense against chaos. Plus he's going to do 2 more damage, because I have no way to defend myself against long-ranged attacks. So therefore I would almost die. This guy is only going to be able to do 1 damage to me because there's no chaos, there's no additional charge, and my armor still at least protects me from magic or from melee for at least 1. So that means he can only hit me for 1. So I'm better to stick with this guy rather than pass it back to this fighter and take this one. So going forward, I'm going to use my sword. My sword will at least do 2 damage because I have the skill of the sword. Now, even though I have 2 skills, this only gives me the ability to take 1 extra point for the 1. If the card had 2 of these little swords in black, then I'd be able to take 2 damage for the 2 skills that I have in that. You know, when we get into the later cards, you might see that, but in this, I only get 2 damage. That's what the sword's capable of doing right now. So, out of his 5, I'm going to do just 2 damage, and that's it. Now, I don't know if I'm going to win this battle. Well, yeah, it'll take me a while, but I can whittle him down. Now, he can only do 1 damage to me because the armor here, flip this around, that reduces damage for melee or magic attacks by 1. So he does a melee attack of 2, it gets reduced by 1, I take 1 damage here, and that's it. He is done. That's all he can do for now. It's attacked, he's attacked, no passing of monsters. Now we move on to the Sorcerer fighting that other dragon. Now unfortunately again, the Sorcerer doesn't have long-ranged attacks. Although you would think magic, like a magic wand, is a long-range attack, but it doesn't specify that. Maybe other weapons that are magical can be long-range as well, if they fire magic missiles maybe or something, I don't know. But this one is still just magic, it's not long-range. So this wand will allow me to do at least 3 damage right off the bat, because it allows me to do 1 for just having the weapon, another for having the skill, which I have, and then I can also use mana, maximum just 1 time, right, to take an additional damage, which I have mana. So right off the bat, let's do that. I'll take the mana, and 1, 2, so we've done 3 damage, so let's just put that on there so we know where we're at. Now, let's just take a look and see if there's anything else here that can do damage. My magic bandages, that just gives me an additional mana, and it can heal 1 damage after the battle. So that's not really going to do much for me. My armor reduces chaos and reduces magic. Now that's good, because this dragon does 2 magic damage and 1 chaos. So again, I don't kill the dragon this round, but it's not going to kill me, even though I don't have a lot of health. This guy really has 1, 2, and then 0, so let's get 2 health. I'm going to defend and reduce the damage by 1, so now I'm down to 1 health, and I can spend 1 mana to remove the chance of getting hit with chaos. So I only take 1 hit. I'm still alive over there. The dragon is hurting. I only have to do 2 more damage, and I know I can do that in the next round, so that dragon's going to be dead. Now we've done a full circle. We've had 1 monster get killed. All other monsters are wounded. Nobody else is dead, which is great. So things have played out well. Cards have been chosen well, and you know, I did this. You know, you saw it in fast play. I didn't cheat. These cards are all placed according to as if we had 4 players. Now, moving back to this guy, we've got the rogue. Now, this thing here only has 1 health left, so obviously just throw a knife, the thing is dead. That's it. Moving on. Skeleton Warrior is now dead. That's worth 1 experience. It's worth 2 gold, so that means 1 goes to me, 1 goes to the guy to the left. There isn't 1 to give to the right because it's only worth 2. This goes under the trophy list to show the skull, and we get the skull and 1 legend point. Done. Moving back to our fighter here. Now, our fighter is doing good because the fighter's already killed somebody, but we've exhausted some stuff. We still have some other stuff. So far, this seems to be the strongest character in this game. So we pull up another monster, and it's a Reaper Demon. Now, Reaper Demons, they look like they're not very tough because they only have 2 health. However, they take only half damage from almost everything you throw at it, because it takes half damage in melee, it takes half damage for long range, and it takes half damage for magic. So even though it only has a little bit of health, it's like it has a really tough skin, and it takes a lot to take them down. I think I can do this. The trick is to attack them with 2 different things. Now, the one thing is that when you do any kind of attack, you can only attack with 1 weapon. You have to choose. If you have 2, like this guy over here, where he's got a bow and a sword, you can't attack with both. You have to choose 1. That's another rule of the game. So if you're going to attack with a sword, you attack with a sword. You can't just pull your bow out after and hit them again. However, with the axe, the initial hit can also be a long-range hit because it's a big weapon. So, I hit them with long range, but I only hit them with 1. You can't cut 1 in half because, well, you just can't. It doesn't work like that. You know, and then the second one would be a melee attack, and I would actually have that because I have that skill, so I would have 1 melee and 1 long range attack out of 1 weapon. Now, I've read through the book everywhere, and I haven't seen anything to say that you can't do this. If you can, correct me if I'm wrong, put it in the comments. I'd like to know, because that's the only thing I'm not 100% sure of, but from what I can understand, the way that they've designed these cards is you have that ability just because it's a large weapon. So I'm actually hitting the person from a distance with my first hit, and then I'm coming in after close range and hitting them again. So I take 1 damage off of it long range, then I take another damage off of it with a melee attack. That means 2 damage, and they can't reduce it into half because it's been taken with 2 different things. It would just be like doing a damage here with a melee weapon, and then a damage with a scroll with using magic, right? You know, you're still doing 2 damage, which would kill this guy. So the only thing is I don't have any protection against chaos, and it charges me right off the bat if I choose to take this guy on, which makes no difference. If I go with the skeleton warrior, they still have a charge as well, so I may as well just go with it because I know I can kill this thing. And anybody else here might actually have more difficulty trying to kill them because they don't always have the same kind of abilities that I do with this axe. So I'm going to take it on. I'm going to take the damage for the charge, and then I'm going to hit it with the axe from a distance, come up with my second hit close range, do 2 damage to it, and kill it. Thus releasing gold off into the guy to my left and 1 to me. And taking one more experience, and look at that. I'm now at level 3. I can increase my health, which that's what I'm gonna do. And now I'm gonna take this trophy. So this fighter now is already up to 2. And we get another trophy. We get another legend point. Moving on to this guy. Still attacking this. 5 health, 2 damage already done to it. Magic does double damage. Don't have any magic. I think I'm just going to use the sword again because I have the ability to at least hit it twice. So we're going to do 2 damage again. I only have to hit it one more time now to kill it. It's still going to do 1 damage to me because I can still protect myself with at least 1. And that's as far as I can go with that monster. So it's slowly whittling away. Back to this one. Fighting the dragon with the Sorcerer. Now the Sorcerer, I know, with just 2 more hits without having to use any additional magic with their wand, we've got the dragon killed. So again, we got 4 gold. So 1 to herself, 1 to the person to the left, 1 to the person to the right, and then 1 more to oneself. Again, there's 4. Now we also have some, these are all 1s, we're going to put those back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to take a 5 piece. And over here, I think we'll do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'll take a 5 piece. 2 experience. We get experience. Gold sorted out. Trophy head under. And guess what? We get to take the victory point, the legend point, and we get to steal the trophy from the fighter because the sorceress actually killed that dragon. So there's a complete round. We got to see a regular battle, we got to see a continuing battle, we got to see how we can pass a monster, we got to see how we take on trophies, we got to see how we can steal trophies, and we got to see how we can distribute gold. This just continues on until every monster in the deck is killed. We have plague rats, another reaper demon, a husk horror, an orcish brute, and another dragon. So one more dragon, either one of these guys is going to get it, that person's going to keep it, or this guy's going to take that trophy back. And double damage with swords, this guy would easily kill this dragon, just like he did the last one. So that would be the end of that battle. Everything at that point then would refresh for things that you've used, and you would move on to the next phase. So in here, it'd be the same thing. You would take out the ones that say 5 on them, and then you would deal out 6 cards for each player. Each player would then take out of that 6, they would take something that they want, and they would pass the 5 to the next one on the left, going clockwise. Everything just increases. The battles get bigger, the monsters are tougher, but also the weapons do more damage, just like this one here. So there we have it. We had a full battle of a 4-player simulated game. And of course we could have continued on to level 2 and level 3 and went on and got all the other trophies, you know, got all the victory points and tallied everything all up to see, you know, who's ultimately going to win the game. I don't want to spoil everything. It's a fun game. This is really, really cool. So if you do see it out there somewhere, pick it up. You know, you'll enjoy it. If you like kind of like deck building, D&D style, and not too complicated, because really, it's not that complicated. As long as someone there is to explain it to you, right? It's actually pretty straightforward. Like anything, reading through instructions sucks. So hopefully this video helps you out to be able to understand how to play the game and what it's about. Like I said, I don't normally do these kind of videos. If I get good response, if people like the fact that I do these videos, like I'll do one for Rising Sun, I'll do one for, you know, Lords of Waterdeep, I'll do one for Tiny Epic Quests, I'll do one for anything that anybody wants me to do. If I've got the game, I'll do a walkthrough for it. If you like how I build it and how I put it together, I try to make it interesting so that it's not so boring to watch on how to play a game. There's still a lot to the game. There was one small expansion that came out with for the Kickstarter and one additional character, right? But really, really, really hard to find now. So a message to the creator, Mike Elliott. I think you should probably bring this game back. If it's out of print, I don't know. If it's not, do some expansions, get some extra decks out there, make some more characters, right? Because it's a fun game. Till next time, guys.